There's new hope for Darlington Football Club this evening. A businessman is offering to invest £300,000 for a 60% share in the club.
Talks have been taking place all day between the entrepreneur's lawyers and Darlington's administrator. Well, earlier I spoke to businessman Paul Wilds and asked him why he's got involved.
I think if you talk about trying to make the football club the centre of the community, and you try and get the club involved in various different activities on top of the football, and you try and make that stadium work as an asset for the club as opposed to the liability that some people see it as today. And for me, the biggest gesture that I can make is to offer the club and some ownership of the supporters in the club. I mean, at the end of the day, they're the people that's been investing in the club probably for 20 or 30 years for some of them.
So is it a business deal as far as you're concerned? There's not really any passion for Darlington Football Club as such?
I have a passion for football. I'm a big Sheffield Wednesday supporter. What I've got a passion for is business. And I think that the club today needs stability, strong financial control, and providing that club with long-term sustainability. And the way to do that is to approach it as a business. The supporters over the last week and a half have shown a tremendous amount of spirit and support for the club, as well as some ingenious ideas on the ability and how they're going to go on and carry on raising money, and I want that to continue. So my offer isn't something that expires on Monday. It's something that I'm prepared to support the club and offer that as a long-term solution for the fans to own a very large share of their own club.
So the administrator actually wants £500,000 to see the club to the end of the season.
Yes.
Are you saying you'd be prepared to put that money in and the supporters, the fans, owe you that money back?
No, what the administrator wants is assurances that the club will survive. I will give the administrator all the assurances he needs and evidence and documentary evidence that he needs, and I will run the club and pay the costs until such time as that investment is made by the supporters.
Have you had discussions with Mr Scott and Mr Sizer, who own the stadium, yet?
Yes, detailed discussions yesterday, and we reached an agreement in principle, subject to the lawyers finalising that they would be prepared to extend the lease, and within that lease there is a buyback provision that I've had put in there, and also a rent review.
When you say a buyback, you mean you'd be interested in actually buying the stadium as well?
Yes, I think the long-term success of the club, some of that will hinge on the club actually owning its own stadium, and I think that it's important in the long term that the stability is assured and the business is actually profitable, not loss-making, that it starts to make provisions to own its own stadium again and be the master of its own destiny.
It's great to hear that vision. Can I ask you, has an agreement been reached with Raj Singh then over the money that he is owed?
No, not yet. I've had conversations with Mr Singh this morning, and it's fair to say that that hasn't been and it now remains the sort of final point that needs to be resolved. But I've said very clearly that in order for the business to be viable moving forward, that those loans need not to exist in the new company.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us. Let's hope that it all comes to fruition and you do save the club. Thank you.
I really hope so, and I'm looking forward to seeing people on Saturday.
Paul Wilds could be a very popular man at that match on Saturday. And for more reaction now, we can join our correspondent Helen Ford, who is at the Darlington Arena for us tonight. Helen.
Well, there's still an awful lot of talking to be done, but all those involved in the discussions say they're very cautiously optimistic, not only about the plan itself, but also what it would mean for the long-term future of Darlington. Let's just recap on what is on offer. Paul Wilds is suggesting that he would plough £300,000 into the Quakers for a 60% stake in the club. The supporters would need to find £200,000, and in return, they would get a 40% share. Now, local MP Jenny Chapman says the deal would give the club back to the community.
Fans need to know what's going on, and although 40% doesn't give them overall control, it gives them access to all of the information that they will need. They will have complete transparency, they'll know what's happening, and I think that, to me, makes a huge difference.
As you can imagine, the news went down very well at Darlington's training ground, where the squad were preparing for Saturday's game against York City.
Fingers crossed that, a deal can be done pretty quickly, because I think it needs to be done quickly just to give us a chance of of obviously getting some players in and obviously getting some points on the board, which is a must now.
Would you say this is the most positive you've felt maybe in the last fortnight?
Yeah, I think it's the most positive I've felt since way before Christmas now, because obviously I had an inkling that there was sort of troubles on the horizon. So now we can see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and I think we all just hoping and praying that the I's can be dotted and the T's can be crossed, and we can come through it.
And in the meantime, the fundraising efforts continue. These were the scenes at Polham Hall School in Darlington a little earlier, where pupils abandoned their uniforms in favour of the Quakers colours. They had to pay £2 for the privilege. The school was expecting to raise hundreds of pounds, thanks to the children's generosity. Well, those scenes will be extremely welcome to the two gentlemen who are with me now, Sean Campbell and Doug Embleton from the Darlington FC Rescue Group. Sean, to begin with, what everybody wants to know is how close are we to raising that £200,000 needed?
Well, to give us the best possible option of achieving a really good outcome, what we need people to do is to come to the game on Saturday, raise as much money as they can possibly do. That will give us the best chance to achieve the best possible deal for the fans and for the football club.
So no figures yet?
We just need to raise as much money as possible. The more we raise, the better position we are in to help all concerned.
Now, Doug, there have been so many twists and turns in this tale.
Indeed, yeah.
Where are we tonight? How much better a position are we in?
We're in a much better place than we were 9 days ago. And in terms of the money, we're optimistic. What I do want to say to supporters is that the money will, my belief, eventually be handled by the Darlington Supporters Trust. It's the natural vehicle for fans' representation and on the board. Now, in the interim, because they're going through their own process of change, the money is being paid to the rescue group who are holding the money, but Supporters Trust, supporters on the board, that's what will happen.
Did you, in your wildest dreams, imagine that, 9 days on from coming forward with that 50,000, that we would be in the position we are talking about a possible rescue deal very briefly?
No, I joined the rescue group as a fan. When this is all over, I shall go back to my seat as a fan. It's been a pleasure to be involved with a great bunch of guys, not just Sean, the other 6 guys, and it's fantastic. Thank you.
Well, thank you both very much indeed. And as we say, there is still an awful long way to go, so cautious optimism is definitely the phrase.
Caution indeed, but a positive day possibly for Darlington. Helen, thank you.